They called her many names: Slay Queen, Ashawo, Run's Girl, Olosho. But none of them knew her truth. None of them knew Ifeoma. The broken beginning. Ifeoma's story didn't start in the streets of Lagos. It started far away, in a quiet village in Anambra. A place where girls learned silence early. A place where pain hid behind religion and tradition. Her mother died giving birth to her. Her father never forgave her for surviving. At age 11, she was already doing chores like a house help. At 13, her father's friend began to visit her room at night. No one believed her. Her stepmother slapped her when she spoke up. "You won't spoil your proper name, ABI." By 15, she had run away. The road to Lagos. She came to Lagos with nothing but a nylon bag, a broken Nokia torchlight, and a heart full of quiet rage. At first, she sold pure water. Then gala. Then her body. She told herself it was just until she blows. That one day she'd open her own boutique, become an influencer, marry a rich man. But Lagos doesn't give you dreams. Lagos gives you survival. And Ifeoma. She survived the only way she knew how. 100 men. By 23, Ifeoma had counted them. Some rough. Some kind. Some married. Some barely 18. Some gave her money. Some beat her. One even made her bleed for 3 days. But she never stopped. She had a rule: no emotions. No real names. No love. Just body for money. Pain for peace. A temporary silence for the noise inside her. But after 100 men, something inside her changed. The last customer. It was a cold Friday night, the kind where Lagos feels too big and too quiet at the same time. She had just finished with a banker in Lekki who complained more than he came. She was walking down Admiralty Way, her heels clicking like a countdown. Then, she saw it. A black Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon parked by the roadside. Engine running. Windows tinted. The driver's window rolled down. A man. Dark-skinned, clean-shaven, handsome. Not flashy. Not talkative. Just calm and watching. He didn't ask the usual, "How much?" He simply said, "I've been looking for you." She frowned. "Oga, I know they do love. Just tell me what you want." He smiled. "I give you 200,000. Just follow me tonight." 200,000 Nigerian nairas. Her throat tightened. That was 10 times her usual rate. She looked around. The street was empty. Just the quiet hum of danger. Still, she entered the car. The Benz that didn't smell right. Inside the car, everything smelled of leather and something else, something metallic. Like dried blood covered in expensive cologne. She tried to speak, but he just drove. No music. No small talk. Just roads and turns until the city lights disappeared behind them. She finally asked, "Where would they go?" He replied softly, "Somewhere peaceful." That word, peaceful, made her stomach twist. Nothing in her life had ever been peaceful. They passed a gate manned by 2 guards in black agbada. No ID check. No questions. Just a nod. The compound was massive. The kind you only see in Nollywood films about rich politicians. He parked. Got out. Opened her door like a gentleman. She followed. The house that breathed. Inside, the mansion was too quiet. No TV. No music. Not even generator noise. The living room was filled with artifacts. Masks. Animal horns. Calabashes. He handed her a glass of wine. Red. Thick. She tasted it and instantly spat it out. It wasn't wine. He smiled. "It's palm wine. From my village. Strong, isn't it?" But it wasn't palm wine either. She didn't argue. She just sat. Quiet. Watching. He didn't touch her. didn't undress, didn't ask for anything. He only said, "You're very special. I've waited long for you." She laughed nervously. "Oga, you go pay extra if not roleplay you dey do." He said nothing, just smiled. Then, the lights flickered. From one of the rooms upstairs, she heard something. Chanting. Low, rhythmic, and ancient. The red room. She stood. "Oga abeg, I know they like all this kind play. Just tell me wetin you want make I go." He didn't answer. Instead, he walked to the stairs, turned back, and said, "If you truly want to go, follow me first. Just one thing. Then I give you your money." Her greed battled her fear. She followed. They walked down a narrow hallway, past rooms with locked doors. One door at the end was painted red. He opened it. Inside, there were no windows. Just mirrors on every wall. A mattress in the center. And in the corner, a small shrine with a goat skull and melted candles. "I'll freshen up," he said. "Wait here." He left. She sat. Then stood. Then walked to the shrine. That was when she saw it. A photo. Her photo. Not from Instagram. Not from the street. But from when she was 17. The day she first came to Lagos. Wearing that faded green t-shirt and braids. It was impossible. No one had that photo. Not even her. Her hands trembled. She opened the drawer below the shrine. Inside were more photos. Other girls. Some she recognized from the street. Some she had heard were missing. All were marked with red crosses. Only hers had a circle. She ran. Escape. She reached for the door, it was locked. She banged. Screamed. Nothing. Then she heard it. A whisper from the walls. Ifeoma. Not his voice. The woman's. Many women. Crying. Mourning. Whispering her name like a curse. Like a prayer. She turned back. In the mirror, she saw them. Faces. Behind her. Not human. Not alive. She screamed. And that was when he walked back in. Holding a white cloth and a small blade. He smiled. It's time. The bed that hid death. Ifeoma stood frozen in the middle of the room. The man, still smiling, held the white cloth and small blade gently, like someone about to baptize a newborn. But his eyes were dead. "You don't have to fight," he said softly. "It will be quick. You are the last one." She wanted to scream, to run, to beg, but her body refused to move. Her legs were ice. Her voice, stolen. Then, behind him, something strange happened. The mirrors began to fog, even though the room was cold. On every surface, faces appeared. Eyes. Mouths. Blood. As though they were watching and waiting. He didn't notice. Or maybe, he no longer feared them. Instead, he turned to the shrine. He began to chant. It was not English. Not Yoruba. Not Igbo. Something older. Something ancient and wrong. That was when her survival instincts kicked in. The blade, the blood. As he bent toward the shrine, Ifeoma noticed a bowl beside the candles. In it was dried blood and strands of human hair. Her hair. Her body moved before her mind caught up. She grabbed the bottle of perfume on the drawer, smashed it against the table, and jabbed it into his neck. He screamed. The white cloth turned red. Blood sprayed. He dropped the blade. She grabbed it. And she ran. She didn't care where. She just needed to leave the room. Leave the house. Leave this life. The door wasn't locked this time. But the hallway had changed. It was longer. Endless. The stretching house. She ran and ran, but the stairs never came. Every door she passed was now open, and every room inside was dark, humming with whispers. She looked back, the red room was gone. Now the walls bled. The floor felt soft, like skin. And above her, the ceiling was breathing in and out, slow, like lungs. She began to scream. Suddenly, a figure appeared at the end of the corridor. Not the man. Not human. It was tall. Too tall. No eyes. No mouth. Just black skin like charcoal and long fingers that scraped the walls as it walked. She turned into the nearest room and slammed the door. The shrine beneath the bed. This room was smaller. A guest room, maybe. But something was off. There was no dust. No mess. Just a bed with white sheets and a single candle burning beside it. She locked the door behind her, gasping, then collapsed near the bed. But as she tried to crawl under it for cover, her hand hit something. Wood. Carved. An altar. There was a shrine beneath the bed. She pulled back the sheet and mattress, and screamed. Underneath was a deep hole, like a well, carved straight into the ground. Steps led downward. Carved in stone. And the air that came from it smelled like death. But footsteps were now echoing down the hall. She had no choice. She climbed in. The underground temple. The stairs led down into darkness. The walls were carved with symbols she couldn't understand, some looked like snakes, others like crying faces. The deeper she went, the louder the sounds became. Voices. Women. Praying. Weeping. Laughing. She reached the bottom, and what she saw would never leave her. It was a temple. Or something like it. Lit by torches. Covered in bloodstains. In the center, there was an altar shaped like a woman's body. Around it were skulls of goats, cows, and humans. On the walls were photos. More girls. Dozens. Maybe hundreds. Each with the same red X drawn across the chest. But in the center, one photo was framed in gold. Hers. Below it, an inscription in chalk. The one who ends the line. The Book of Names. She moved toward the altar and saw an old book placed carefully beside a dried human heart. The pages were thin. Fragile. On each page was a girl's name. Her age. Her date of death. And a word, accepted. She flipped frantically. Her name was there. But her death date was blank. That meant one thing, they hadn't killed her yet. But they would. She turned the page, and something cold touched her shoulder. She turned. It was the priest. Not a normal man. His face was painted with ash. His eyes were white. His teeth sharpened like a wild dog's. He said one word. Chosen. Then everything went black. The sacrifice begins. When she woke, she was tied to the altar. Naked. Candles burned all around her. The priest stood chanting. And behind him, Sazi, the man in the Benz, stood calm again. Wearing white. Smiling. There were others now. All wearing masks. All watching. She screamed. Begged. Fought. But the priest only lifted the same blade she had once held, now washed and clean. The chanting grew louder. Sazi stepped forward. He whispered. When I was 16, my father made his first sacrifice. My mother. He said that to keep the wealth, each generation must pay the price in full. I've given 99. They were easy. But the last girl must be willing. Or at least strong enough to resist. You're the last one. She spat in his face. He didn't flinch. The priest began the final chant. The interference. Then, the flames flickered. All the candles in the room, one by one, died out. Screams echoed from the shadows. One masked man dropped to the ground, vomiting blood. Another caught fire. And from the entrance, a voice thundered. She is not yours. Everyone froze. Even the priest. Even the spirits. And there, in the stairway, stood an old woman, dressed in white, holding a staff made of bone. Ifeoma didn't know her. But her soul recognized her. The masked cortez began to melt into the shadows. Sazi stared, afraid for the first time. The old woman raised her staff. This one has suffered enough. Let her pain not be your prophet. The altar cracked. The priest tried to finish the chant, but his tongue turned to stone in his mouth. He screamed. Sazi ran. The old woman touched Ifeoma's forehead, and her robes turned into ashes. She fell to the ground, gasping. The old woman knelt beside her. This is not over, daughter. You must now choose. Live with the memory, or die clean in silence. The escape. Ifeoma crawled from the temple, barefoot, bleeding, shaking. She didn't remember how she got out of the house. Or how she reached the forest. She just ran. Through thorns. Through mud. Through darkness. Until the sun rose. Until she collapsed beside a small village road. And there, a choir group returning from night vigil saw her. Naked. Screaming. Covered in ash and dried blood. They took her in. Washed her. Prayed for her. But they never believed her story. The monster still lives. Days passed. Weeks. The police found nothing at the mansion she described. No blood. No shrine. No underground temple. The house had burned down the night she escaped. But Sazi disappeared. No bank trace. No family. No identity. Just gone. But months later, a girl in Lekki posted a photo. Smiling. Pretty. New iPhone. Caption said. New Benz alert. Thanks baby red heart. And in the background, blurry but visible. The same black Benz. They say every house has a soul. But some houses are nothing but graves with roofs. Some girls run from men. Some run from memories. But Ifeoma, she ran from something deeper. She ran from the devil, and the devil was rich, handsome, and patient. A body cleaned, a soul stained. They washed her body with anointing oil. They clothed her with white. They said, the blood is not yours, as if that made the memories disappear. But Ifeoma knew the truth. That every scream, every dead girl, every whisper from the mirror had entered her. She wasn't clean. She was just alive. And in a world like this, that was a miracle or a punishment. The dreams that never end. She tried to sleep. But the dreams haunted her. Every night. She stood on the altar again. The priest raised the knife. Sazi whispered, "You're the last. You're perfect." The blade cut. The blood gushed. Then she'd wake up screaming, gasping, sweating. And the worst part. The dreams bled into the day. At church. On the street. Even when eating EBA, she'd hear the chant again. Ekwensu Koroya. Ozugo. Ozuaik. The devil has chosen her. It is done. She is strong enough. The demons never left. They were inside her now. The man in white. 1 week after her escape, she saw him. She was walking back from a small pharmacy, trying to avoid the stares of judgmental villagers. And there, at the corner of the bush path, stood a man in all white. Clean agbada. Cap barefoot. No shadow. He didn't blink. Didn't breathe. Just watched her. She froze. He raised one hand and beckoned. She ran. The next day, someone found a dead goat placed in front of the church door. Its neck twisted. Its eyes open. Its stomach split. No one claimed it. But she knew. They were watching her again. The ghost of the other girls. she returned to the same guest house the choir had placed her in. But the room didn't feel like hers anymore. It felt crowded. At night, she began to see them, the other girls. Not in the form of ghosts with chains or blood, but memories made flesh. They sat on her bed, on her floor, in her mirror. One braided her hair and whispered, "He told me I was special too." Another stood near the window, looking out, saying, "They buried my body in his garden." And a third, a young girl no older than 17, just cried and said, "Tell my mother I didn't run away. Tell her he killed me." Ifeoma stopped sleeping. She stopped eating. She became a body of shadows. The past returns. The villagers grew suspicious. Wetin she see wey make her mad like this? Maybe not karma. She too do Ashawo. Or maybe she bewitched. She heard them. But she didn't care. Until one day, her past walked in. Her father. Grey-bearded now. Tired eyes. Accompanied by a pastor from her old village. They had come to take her back. For deliverance, they said. She laughed bitterly. He who once ignored her cries when his friend touched her, now wanted to save her. She spat on the ground. "You didn't protect me then. Why now?" The pastor knelt beside her and whispered, "Because now, it's not just your body that's been touched. It's your soul." The spiritual awakening. That night, she agreed to pray. Not because she believed it would help, but because she was tired of fighting alone. They surrounded her. Bible in one hand. Anointing oil in the other. The small room turned hot. Sweaty. Loud. As they prayed, she began to laugh. Not with joy, but with the voice not hers. Her body shook. The lights flickered. And she screamed in 3 voices. "I am the final seal. I am the completion. She cannot be clean. She belongs to him." Then, silence. She collapsed. The girl in the mirror. When she awoke, she was alone. Or so she thought. She walked to the mirror to wash her face, and the reflection didn't match her. The girl in the mirror had no eyes. Just hollow sockets. Her mouth stitched shut. But her body. Identical. The mirror girl reached forward, and whispered without lips. "You ran, but you didn't leave." Suddenly, Ifeoma felt something move under her skin. Like worms. Crawling. She screamed. And the mirror cracked, on its own. A choice in the dark. Later that night, a voice returned. Not the demons. Not Sazis. Not even the priest. But the old woman in white, the one who saved her. This time, she appeared in a dream. She stood beside a river of blood, under a sky of fire. "You want peace?" she asked. "Then you must return. Finish what he started. Close the door he opened with your blood. Or, run forever. Be haunted forever. Watch others die in your place. Choose, daughter." Ifeoma wept. But she nodded. "I return." The ritual of the reclaimed. The next morning, she asked for 7 things. Red cloth. A bottle of palm oil. A fresh egg. Kola nut. A black goat's tail. White chalk. Her own blood. She called the old woman again. This time, the wind responded. A storm rose. The village screamed. Children cried. Doors slammed. She stood in the center of the compound, drew a circle with her blood, and began to chant. She didn't know where the words came from. But she knew they were hers. The ground trembled. A shadow appeared across the sky. Sazi's voice returned, but this time, afraid. "Stop. Ifeoma, stop. You ruin everything." She laughed. "You ruined me first." Then, she spat on the egg and crushed it. The wind died. The sky cleared. And inside her, a darkness lifted. Escape is not for the dirty. That night, she bathed in the river. Naked. Alone. Under moonlight. She cried for the girls. For herself. For everything she had lost. She wasn't clean. She would never be. But now, she was free. Or so she thought. Until the next morning, when a call came. A young girl. Just 19. A runs girl in Lekki. Missing. Last seen entering a black Benz. To be clean is not to be perfect. It is to be willing to face the filth without turning away. But Ifeoma, she was never allowed to be clean. They used her. Touched her. Broke her. Branded her. But now she was ready to become what they feared, free. The whispers of the river. After the ritual by the river, something inside Ifeoma had changed. Not just her mind. Her soul had shifted. She could feel things. Sense people before they spoke. Smell evil like perfume. And in the quiet of the night, she would hear the river whispering. More are coming. He has found a new girl. The cycle is not yet broken. She wanted to rest, to hide. But the spirits wouldn't let her. Not until she redeemed the others. The missing girl. Her name was Amara. 19. Fresh in Lagos. Pretty, wide-eyed, full of dreams. She had posted her last Instagram story at 11:53 p.m. A short video. Laughing. Lips glossed. Braids tight. Caption read. Big girl moves tonight, kiss mark fire #giddy life #soft girl season. Behind her, in that video, Ifeoma saw it. The black Benz. Same license plate. Same dark tint. Same devil. Ifeoma dropped her phone. She couldn't breathe. The call from Lagos. She didn't wait. She packed only one wrapper and a Bible. She boarded the first night bus to Lagos. The journey was long. Every bump in the road felt like a warning. Every man beside her looked like Sazi in shadow. She arrived at dawn. Lagos was already awake, loud, chaotic. But to her, it was a graveyard of broken girls. She went straight to Yoba, to the address Amara's friend had posted before she disappeared. The gate was locked. The compound was quiet. She touched the handle. It burned her. The dream that showed the way. That night, she slept in a church compound. Not in a room. Outside, under the altar bell. She couldn't close her eyes for more than a few minutes before the dreams began. But this time, they showed her a place. A large white house with 2 lion statues in front. A crimson curtain in the window. A mirror shaped like a coffin hanging above a black fireplace. And on the wall, a painting of Amara, dressed in red, eyes hollow, mouth sewn shut. She woke up sweating. The next day, she began her search. The house of glass. It took 3 days, but she found it. The house from her dream. High-end part of a koi. Quiet. Hidden. 2 lion statues stood like guards. The crimson curtain swayed slightly. The gate wasn't locked. She walked in like she belonged. Inside, the silence was unnatural. Too complete. She called out, "Hello? Anyone here?" No answer. Just the hum of electricity. Then she saw it, the painting. Exactly as she dreamed. Amara, stitched mouth, hollow eyes. Then, the mirror above the fireplace lit up. But it didn't show her reflection. It showed Sazi, standing behind her. She turned. Nothing. The mirror lied. Or maybe it told truths we couldn't accept. The final shrine. She followed the house's architecture. Every step felt guided. A red hallway. A spiral staircase. A stone door. Behind it, a shrine. Newer than the last one. But darker. Amara's clothes were folded neatly at the center. Bloodied. Her earrings were placed beside a bowl of blood. Above it, a sign. The fresh must feed the old. And below the altar, a small heartbeat. Not hers. Not human. She lifted the cloth. Amora was alive. Naked. Drugged. Eyes fluttering. Still breathing. Ifeoma screamed. Amora. Wake up. We are leaving. But before she could touch her, the floor split beneath her. The spiritual prison. She fell. Down. Down. Deeper than any basement should go. When she landed, there was no light. Only whispers. Crying. Screaming. Laughter. The girls. They were here. Not bodies. But souls trapped between realms. They surrounded her. Not to hurt, but to beg. Help us. He bound us with lust, with fear, with silence. Free us. She asked, how? They pointed to her chest. There was a faint glow in her skin. A seal, circular, pulsing. One girl said, break it and become one of us. Then we all go free. The decision. She remembered what the old woman had said. You must now choose. Live with memory, or die clean in silence. This was the moment. If she broke the seal, her body would die. But her soul would rise, with them. For them. She wept. But she was not afraid anymore. She whispered. Let it end with me. She placed her hand on the seal. And tore it open. The cleansing. As the seal broke, light burst through the underground void. The spirit screamed and sang all at once. Chains shattered. Walls cracked. Sazi's name was erased from every corner of the shrine. And in the real world, the mansion caught fire. Flames danced through the windows. Amora awoke, coughing, confused, but alive. The villagers later said they saw a woman walking through fire, barefoot, laughing as she vanished into smoke. They didn't know her name. But they said the air that day smelt of palm wine, firewood, and freedom. Her name was Ifeoma. Amora survived. She told her story to the world. They called it lies, of course. Rumors. Nollywood madness. But girls started being careful. They stopped entering Benz alone. They watched who they followed. They prayed louder. They asked deeper questions. And sometimes, when Lagos got too quiet, they said they could hear a woman's voice whisper. Be clean. But don't be blind. They counted her by the men she slept with. Laughed at her pain. Mocked her name. But in the end, she was the one who broke the chain. Her name was Ifeoma. And she finally became what they never let her be, clean. Some stories are not meant to be told. They live in whispers. In shadows. In scars. Ifeoma's story was one of them. It began with pain and ended in fire. But not all fires destroy. Some purify. When the smoke cleared, the mansion burned for hours. No fire truck arrived. No neighbors intervened. As if Lagos itself agreed, this house needed to die. When they finally entered the ashes the next day, they found nothing. No bones. No shrine. No trace of the underground altar. But one thing remained untouched. A photograph. Ifeoma. Smiling. At age 17. That same photo from the shrine, now clean. Framed in gold. With one word beneath it. Redeemed. Amora speaks. Amora, the girl who was rescued, didn't remember everything. Just fragments. The black Benz. The mansion. The mirror with no reflection. The woman who stood in fire and whispered, run. She spoke to the press. They laughed at her. She spoke to the police. They said there was no evidence. She went on social media. Told the world about Sazi. About the missing girls. about Ifeoma. And for a while, the internet buzzed. Hashtag justice for Ifeoma trended for 3 days. Then silence. But girls remembered. Deep down, they remembered. The black Benz returns. 6 months passed. Things went back to normal. Until in Lekki Phase 1, outside a newly opened club, a girl went missing. She was last seen entering a black G-Wagon. 2 weeks later, in Abuja, another. Then Port Harcourt. Then Enugu. Same pattern. Same profile. Same car. Sazi's name never came up again. But the streets whispered a new one. The man with no shadow. The new Ifeoma. She looked different now. Her skin glowed. Her eyes, deeper. Her smile, rare, but real. She lived in a quiet community in Kogi. Away from noise. Away from mirrors. She had changed her name to Adis. But the girls still found her. Not physically, spiritually. They came in dreams. In songs. In wind. Each one repeating the same message. The chain is not fully broken. And deep down, she knew. Sazi had not died. Only moved. Only evolved. The books of blood. In her small room, Adis kept 3 journals. All handwritten. Journal 1, names of missing girls across Nigeria. Cross-referenced with news reports, online rumors, street gossip. Journal 2, dreams. Visions. Symbols that came during sleep. Drawings of masks, shrines, chants. Journal 3, her own memory. From man 1 to man 100. Their names. Faces. The price she paid for survival. She called them her books of blood. She read them every morning. And with each page, she prayed. Let me not forget, so others may live. A new generation. One day, a girl knocked on her gate. Young. Skinny. Bold makeup. Fear in her eyes. She said, "They told me you could help me." Adis didn't ask who they were. She simply opened the gate. Over the next few months, more girls came. They didn't call it a church. Or a shelter. They just said, "This is where the dead become clean." And together, they healed. They talked. Shared secrets. Burned old clothes. Held midnight vigils. Walked barefoot on sacred earth. And slowly, the light returned. But Adis never smiled for too long. Because at night, the river still whispered. He drives again. The girl who didn't listen. Her name was Mimi. Fine girl. Sharp tongue. 24K followers. One day she came to Adis' place, listened to one story, and laughed. Benz no be seen, abeg. I like comfort. Adis warned her. You like the comfort until it becomes a coffin. Mimi rolled her eyes. She left that same night. The next morning, her roommate said Mimi got picked up by a man in a black Benz. She had told her, "Girl, tonight not breakthrough." She never came back. Her account was deleted. All that remained was a single voice note sent at 1:17 a.m. Breathing. Crying. Then one word. Ifeoma. The final vision. That night, Adis had her worst dream yet. She stood in the middle of a massive city, alone. Girls were falling from the sky, screaming, burning, vanishing. And above them all stood Sazi. Naked. Eyeless. Mouth full of tongues. Wearing a crown made of human hands. He looked at her and said, "You stopped one gate. But there are others. Older. Deeper. You were never my enemy. You were my key." She woke up bleeding from her nose. She knew now. This wasn't just about her. It was a network. A system. A religion. And Sazi. He wasn't just a man. He was a throne. The preparation. Adis gathered the girls. They sat in a circle. Candles burned. A bowl of water sat in the center. She spoke. You are not victims. You are not used. You are not broken. You are warriors. One by one, each girl placed a drop of blood in the bowl. The water turned black. Adis closed her eyes. Tonight, we cleanse. Not for us, but for the ones still driving, still hunting, still buying. The monster wears Gucci, but his soul is old. They began to chant. 100 men and a monster. At dawn, Adis walked to the river. She stood in the water. Let it reach her waist. She opened her final journal. She had written 101 names. The last name, hers. She dipped the book in the water. Watched it float. Watched it sink. And then, the sky cracked. Lightning. Thunder. From deep within the forest, a roar erupted. Not animal. Not man. But something else. Something ancient. Something angry. She turned away, and smiled for the first time in months. Not because she was safe, but because the war had begun. They called her a whore. A girl with no future. A body with no soul. But Ifeoma fought gods. She faced demons. She walked into the mouth of ritual and spat in its throat. She was number 101. And now, she's the one they fear.